Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Interact's Grow podcast. My name is Jessie, and I'm the social content manager here at Interact. And I'm here with Jackie and Damaris.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back. This week, it's just the three of us, and we are patiently waiting for Jasmine Still to return from her lovely sabbatical. But until then, we'll keep rocking with the three of us.
Just
And
the three of us.
maybe that should be our new intro song.
Yeah.
But today we have a pretty hot topic. I would say, I think you guys would agree, this is the number one question we get asked for anyone that comes in that wants to make a quiz is what makes a good quiz? This question has so many different parts that make a good quiz, so many different little pieces to it. But I think we can all agree that the first part that really comes up is what makes a good quiz idea? How does a business owner come in and decide what is a quiz idea for their business that they can use to generate leads? What do you guys think? Let's dive into that one.
I would say the best quiz title is something that your audience is already always asking you, right? So, like, what are people typing into Google to find your website? Or when they get to your website, what is the thing that they're looking for? If you can highlight that in a quiz, then people are going to be very likely to click on it because they want a personal answer to that question. I know we're going to go into this later, so I don't want to talk too much about this now, but you really want your quiz to be all about the people that you're building it for. Don't think about yourself when you're thinking about a quiz topic because you want it to be something that really resonates with your ideal customers so that they're going to want to take it.
I love that. And if we think about it, what's a good quiz idea for my business? That is the main question that we get asked. And guess what? We created a quiz for our website to help people find the best quiz idea for their business, which might not be something that is the first conversation starter that we would open with the customer, but we realize that that's what they want to know. That's why they're coming to our website. That's why they get stuck and they don't hit that button to get started. So I think that's awesome. And Damaris, what do you think that from a customer's viewpoint, like what makes a good quiz?
Yeah. Well, just to piggyback from what you guys were just saying too, we have gotten people that are really don't know, right, where to start. They just don't know what quiz idea would make sense for them, or maybe they haven't really sat down and thought about their audience, whatever the case may be. If you're just starting out, I would say even doing a quiz to try to do some market research would be very helpful to sort of understand your audience as well. Because I think that in order for a good quiz to be, right, or to have a good quiz idea, you have to understand your audience. So, and now, Jessie, I have forgotten what you asked me. So can you repeat that, please?
No, that was perfect. That was perfect. No, I think I was asking, like, as a quiz taker, what do you think a good quiz is? Like, if you've taken so
Yeah.
many people's quizzes, like what do you like about, like, what stands out to you when you take a quiz and you're like, wow, that was a good one? Just like
Yeah, that's a really good question. I have people, business owners that submit their quiz for quiz feedback. And some of the things that I look at, just high level, right? We're not going to go into very specifics because there's so many different businesses out there, so many different niches and all of this stuff. But the main things that I look at is try not to make your quiz really wordy, right? I want to have a user experience where if I'm taking the quiz, it's fun, it's easy to read, it's light, it has relatable language that I can understand. I don't have to think too much about what response I'm going to give as I'm asking, as I'm reading the question. It sort of has to flow through very naturally for me. Um, I am personally a big fan of personas or different characters, or maybe sort of like if you're a coach and you have, the only thing that comes up to my mind is like, if you want to do a result that says boss babe, or, that really empowers somebody. I think that those quizzes bring a lot of value to quiz takers because it's very relatable. and you are sort of doing that positive reinforcement to quiz takers, which we all want to feel better about ourselves. We all want to feel, mushy and good and motivated to make the change. So that's sort of what comes to mind. I don't know if you guys want to add anything else to that.
I want to add to what Damaris was saying about the personalities or characters that you're getting at the end. Those are fun quizzes because you right now, the quiz taker, doesn't necessarily know which character or persona they are. But I do see all the time, just to put the question backwards, what's a bad quiz, is giving a persona of where someone is at on their journey, right? So I was just making an AI quiz today that was where are you on your marketing path? And the results that this person wanted to give were very, I'm just getting started in my business. I just started my business and launched my website. I'm getting busy on social media and I've been in business for 5 years, right? That's not a fun quiz for quiz takers because they already know where they're at on their journey. But that is important for someone who's writing the quiz to know about the person taking it, right? Mm-hmm. So usually when we were doing quiz coaching, what would happen is that question of where are you at on your journey is literally just a question within your quiz so that you know as a quiz maker where this person is at. But the result that the quiz taker receives should really give them something that they don't already know about themselves. Because otherwise, what's the point of taking the quiz? I already know where I'm at in my business right now. I know maybe what I need to do next, or maybe you don't know what you need to do next, but if the quiz comes across as here's where you're at in your business, then I'm not going to keep reading to try to find out how you can help me because you've already not helped me, if that made sense.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And I think that really kind of overcompasses the point where as a business owner, maybe for you feel the most important thing is to know where each of these leads are in their business, because that's how you're planning to segment and target them. Okay, they're just getting started. Maybe they need consultation, maybe they need social media help. Maybe they need help launching, but as a quiz taker, that is not the most important thing to them to learn in their quiz results. So you can totally ask it as a question, but not make the whole quiz based on what you feel is most important as a business owner. You still have to focus on the customer, which I think is huge.
Yes. And that actually brings up something that I see a lot. It's a very, I don't want to call it a trend because it's more than that, right? It happens very often. But I see very often where we have business owners that want to make their sales page a result or want to make the offering a result. And I understand why. As a business owner, I totally get it. You're coming here to get a quiz because you want to get sales, you want to convert people. But think about it, and the quiz taker wants to take a quiz to get a benefit from it, to have information that's going to be valuable for me. And if you give me that, then I'm more likely to probably, hit the call to action button that says, hey, let me see what course this is about, or let me see if I can book a consultation or get added to the wait list, just sort of just take a step back and think about what would my audience want from me to really help me sort of get that. Maybe I'm getting my head on myself because I know we were going to talk about this now that I thought about it, but just sort of think about that, and I'll turn it back to Jessie so we can.
And I want to elaborate on that though, because it brings up a really good point. And this same question of how soon can you sell from the quiz results came up all of the time in coaching. And so I just want to say to that, Shanti, who wrote most of the templates that we have, right? She used to call this, or maybe she still calls it, a belief bridge. So there's no one size fits all answer to how quickly you can sell from your quiz result page, right? It's a matter of when is the person taking the quiz ready to buy. And if they're not a warmed up lead, if they don't know that they need this offering right now, then selling right from the result page is probably just going to make them feel like, oh, you just wanted me to take that quiz so that you would buy something from me. They're not going to feel like seen, understood what Damaris was saying, right? And so that's building the belief bridge of what's the one next thing somebody needs to know to get that much closer to being ready to buy your offering. That should be the call to action. Maybe it's reading a blog post. Maybe it's listening to a podcast. Maybe it's jumping on a strategy call. Maybe it's buying something, but you really want to ask yourself, put yourself in your audience's shoes, right? What does the quiz taker need to know in this moment based on where they're at? in order to get them closer to this offering that I ultimately want to sell them. And that could be different for each result too. Maybe you have somebody who's like really far along in their business and they're just like, they've tried all the things and they're just ready for help right now. That person might be ready to book a strategy call right away and start, get going. But then you have somebody who's maybe brand new to business. They're still toying around with ideas of, what their offerings are going to be, what niche they want to fall into. And that person probably needs some more time to think about what is it that they're actually going to do to start this business before they would want to jump on calls with people. Or maybe the opposite, right? It just depends on your business. Or I would encourage you all to really think through that in order to answer that question of what do you put on the result page of in terms of selling or adding value, things like that.
Yeah. And that brings up a really good point that I think sometimes people want to force something into every single result, like every single result you give them the same CTA, but you have to think of your quiz in a way that you're also using as a way to qualify leads. And maybe someone isn't at that point where they are going to become a person who you're going to make a sale with. Maybe they're just not there yet. So don't try and force the sale yet. Warm them up. They're on your email list now. See where they're at. See how you can get them to a point where you can actually help them. And you can't just funnel everyone to jump on the boat right away. And that's okay. That's why a quiz is awesome, because you're using it to segment and find those high quality hot leads that you can jump on, which with a PDF or a regular opt-in, you might not be able to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because with the regular opt-ins, right, you're sending everybody to the same thing at the end. They're giving you their email and they're all going to the same outcome or result. But with a quiz, you that's the magic of it. You can segment them, send them to different resources based on what you know about them. Like not everybody who takes our quiz, what's the best quiz for your business, is going to get the same result. You get very different results based on what you're telling us in there. So I just want to say back to the point Damaris was making about using your quiz for market research. Think through that too. Like, how do I want to say this? Sometimes you don't have an offering for everybody who's in your audience, right? And so for those people, you might want to reach out to them, get feedback from them, ask them what they're looking for so you can start to build an offering for them based on what they're telling you. And so I really like what you said about that, Damaris, with market research. But still, if you're using that, like, I mean, any quiz really is giving you research on your audience, on the people taking it. But think about who are the people taking it? What offers do you currently have, right? What do you need to give people to get them across this belief bridge? And it doesn't have to be the same solution for everybody.
Yeah, some of our case studies, when they kind of bring up how their quiz kind of changed their business because they noticed like 2 different new audiences that they didn't even have offerings for. And from that point, they were able to make offerings based on all these quiz leads that they got, where they weren't expecting to have those type of people on in their audience. So I love those stories. They're always so fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right.
And can lead to tons of sales. There was a lady in coaching, Dawn gave her as the example. I'm not even going to say her name because I might mess it up, but there was somebody who made like $50,000 in selling an offering that was simply created because she realized she didn't have something for like 25% of her audience through looking at quiz analytics. So wow, the money is there. Yeah,
that's for sure. Huge. Yeah, see those are the type of success stories from quizzes that I love to hear. When you learn something completely new like that, that's really life-changing. I feel like that's so totally fun. That's fun. All right, let's move it along, since we really still want to talk about what makes a good quiz. Let's kind of get into a little bit of a detail. A very like debatable question. How long should a quiz be? What I'm going to say 5 to 7, because that's usually what I recommend. Usually the type of people that I work with, I see 5 to 7 works. Jackie, what do you think?
I totally agree. What I'm thinking of is in coaching, I was working with a lady who wrote a 35 question quiz. And when I gave her feedback, I highly advised not to ask that many questions, because if you think about it, somebody finds your quiz on your website, right? And then they start taking it, and it takes time to answer accurately 35 different questions. But her quiz was actually successful. She got hundreds of leads through 35 quiz questions. And so the answer that I always say to this question is ask as few questions as you need to understand what you need to know about your audience, but also get them to the right result and the information that they are going to want to know. You can usually do that between 5 and 7 questions. Just know that there are definitely outliers out there, like this 135 question quiz. I'm sure there are quizzes that are only 1 or 2 questions as well, but really think of the goal of your quiz. What do you need to know about your people in order to get them to the right result, and in order to support them in the email marketing journey or whatever you're doing with these emails after they subscribe.
Oh my gosh. Do you know what the topic was on that 35 question quiz? Because that also comes to mind, that I'm like, it really depends on what the topic of the quiz is. Like sometimes it's harder to pinpoint.
I want to say she was either a relationship or intimacy coach,
Mm-hmm.
one of those 2 things. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was
And
gonna
also,
say, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Just real quick, I know that she added, the only place she was marketing the quiz was on her website. So also consider how warmed up to the idea or your business these quiz takers are. It's very likely that she was so successful in this long quiz because people already knew her. People were ready to get this in-depth level of information. It wasn't used for lead generation, but rather to segment people that she was already working with.
Yeah. No, I was going to say I have seen longer quizzes for industries such as, therapy, even the medical industries that need to ask certain health related questions. And they have worked well because those are, like Jackie was saying, necessary questions that you need to ask your quiz takers. If you're more leaning towards like a product or trying to get sales or courses or things of that nature, then that may be different for you, right? So definitely something
as a quiz taker, like if I wanted to learn if I have a healthy relationship, like how healthy is your relationship, I think I would feel a little caught off guard if all of a sudden they assumed that they knew how healthy my relationship was based on 5 questions. Like unless some super psychologist came up with the perfect 5 questions to find that out, I would be like, I don't know. You really didn't ask that much. I mean, I have a lot more to say. So I feel like, like it really depends on the topic, but I think usually 5 to 7 is a good start, but there are definitely outliers. So
yeah. And also consider with this 35 question quiz, right? How intimate or personal are the questions being asked, and how willing is somebody taking your quiz going to be to give up that information, especially if they don't know who you are or have any type of, awareness of your business. Because especially if you're talking about your own mental health or your personal relationship, right? You may keep that information really close if you don't like to share that online, especially with, I don't know, especially in today's age with, I'm hacking, but let's not even go there. Right. But like, just think about that. Do you really need to know this in-depth level of information just to get somebody through this quiz? And also know you can, and we've talked about this, I think, in the 3 series episode we did on the marketing or on the quiz barriers. You can use multiple quizzes. So you can start with a quick, high level, fun, light lead gen quiz. Once you know, okay, you are probably in a great relationship, let's dive into that a little bit more, and then send them down a second funnel, right, with like more in-depth questions. But then you still have 2 quizzes, 5 questions each, but they're easy to get through. They're telling you what you need to know about this person to give them insight into the quiz taker's life or style or whatever the quiz is about. And the quiz taker is feeling seen, feeling understood, getting the information that they need to move forward with whatever struggles, problems, goals they took the quiz for.
Yeah, I love that. And I actually, now that you mentioned this, I kind of thought of how we have a lot of people that come in and they're like, I am a life coach for women entrepreneurs who are like 40 to 50s, right? And they come in and they're like, right off the bat, the first question they want to ask is, what's your age range? And we're kind of like, no, like that's not how you would go about it. How would you, Jackie, in coaching, how did you help them understand like how they can kind of find out that information without being so direct or,
Yeah, I would always ask them if somebody wanted to write a question like that. I would always ask them back, what are you doing with that information? Do you need, and usually the age thing or the gender or the occupation came up because they were wanting to run ads or they were running ads and they needed to know the very specific demographic to set in their ad targeting so that it could attract this persona, right? But nobody wants to take a quiz that is me telling you how old I am, what gender I am, what occupation. I know all those things. That's not fun for me as a quiz taker to take. So unless there's a very specific reason that you need right now to know this person's age or whatever the question might be, I wouldn't ask it. You can always do that later when you book a strategy call with the person, or maybe it's like a mental health check thing where you start seeing the person on regular appointments and you need to know their age to diagnose certain things, or, you know, I don't know, it could go any different way depending on your business topic or quiz topic. But really, I would just say, what are you using that information for? And if you are not actively using that information from this quiz, then don't ask the question. It's not worth it.
Yeah. And what if I'm 20 and I submit your quiz and I'm interested in your services, but because you asked me that I'm 20, you put me in a list that you're not going to market to me. So don't cross people out just through the quiz, just because it's something that you think is important to you. I think that's a good one.
Yeah.
All right. Next question that is important for us to cover, but it is, how do you ask for emails in a quiz?
That is such a good question.
Such a good question because it's such an easy answer. We have opt-in forms before you get to the quiz.
I always think of this example whenever I see an opt-in page with any businesses or any quiz feedback that I come across. Is the premise of the idea that I'm thinking is, you know, you're trying to validate an idea in the person that they already sort of have right in the back of their mind. And then the opt-in form will either do that or not for them. And so for me, I go back to, I love candles, right? I shop for candles all the time. I'm a big candle person. I mean, you see my stock right now, I'm running low. I have 6 left and I'm over here like, oh, I'm going to need to go stack up. But when I take a quiz, if I come across, just to give you, this is a general idea, a candle quiz, right? I am very interested already in the idea. So I'm like happily taking the quiz. And if the quiz is fun and you made it interesting, I will probably opt in because I want to get information about the candles, the aromas, the different products that you offer. It doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to probably buy there right there and then, but it would be nice to just get those emails. So then sort of have that idea in the back of my head. So when I am ready, back to what Jackie was saying, I can just I can just click on your email and then text me your website or whatever you're selling. And so back to the original question is, it goes back to how you generate your questions in your quiz, right? Are you making it fun for your quiz takers? Is it catchy? Is it grabbing the attention? Is it bringing benefit? And if it does, and the opt-in page comes up, and then you're most likely going to have people that already have that idea in their head opt in and eventually convert it to a sale. But I don't know if any of you guys have anything else to say. I'm interested to hear your thoughts.
No, I like it. And I mean, think of anything that you would subscribe to online. If there's not a very clear benefit to me giving you my email there, maybe it's a promotional discount code, maybe it's a piece of information, maybe it's tips and tricks and resources. If there's not a very specific reason that I should be putting my email there that I want, back, I'm not going to give you my email. So you want to be very clear in the value that you're going to be giving somebody if they do choose to leave their email address. The technical answer that I want to explain, Jesse, about your question is, yes, you can simply turn on lead generation in your Interact quiz. They answer your quiz questions. They get the opt-in form where they can subscribe. We just made a video on YouTube, so we can link it in the show notes here, on the option of sending someone their results via email. But I guess actually, as I say that out loud, it's the same answer, because they would have to subscribe to the quiz so that you can get their email for you to send their results. What would happen in coaching sometimes is, on our opt-in form, you can make it optional. So somebody can skip subscribing but still get to their quiz results. And when you get to the quiz results and you see, for Damaris, maybe all of these beautiful candles, and you're like, oh shoot, I should have subscribed, but I don't know how to go back and take the quiz again, or I there's no option for me, right? You can include a secondary opt-in form on the result page. So I guess, again, go back to thinking through, putting yourself in your audience's shoes, your quiz taker's shoes. Where does it make the most sense to ask for this email? Usually, and I want want to say like 95 to 99% of the time, probably it's just using the quiz opt-in form. Because if you're getting really clear in the value you would be giving someone signing up to your list and they choose not to subscribe, then you're probably avoiding, I hope that's the right word, a non-qualified lead, somebody that you wouldn't want to work with anyways. But if I'm a candle business and I'm trying to attract the candle lovers, I want to make sure Damaris gets on my list. So having her subscribe through that opt-in form so that I can stay in touch with her, I can know how she answered these quiz questions, so I know what scents she loves. I can start pushing those products her way, making recommendations in that way, is usually the best way to collect emails. Just turn on lead generation and interact.
Yeah, I love that. And for the candle example, like maybe Damaris doesn't care to learn more about candles or anything like that. If you tell Damaris that she can get a 20% off coupon in her email by entering her info, I bet you she's going to do it. And I bet you she's going to buy a candle.
Probably, most
Yeah.
likely.
Yeah. And here's just a fun little twist on this example, right? Maybe you're trying to, or maybe you find out through your quiz that you've got a lot of DIYers on your list, right? Simply making a little mini course or a little freebie guide, or maybe it's a paid guide of how to make your own candles would be really cool. Maybe these are people who have already bought from you and really like your product, or maybe they're people who haven't bought from you but really like hands-on crafts and things like that. That's another way to, what we were talking about earlier, make new offerings, new streams of revenue for your business based on what you know about your people, but also follow up with very different messages after the quiz. Damaris, you loved all these scents before. It doesn't look like you're too into the DIY. Here's a 20% coupon to go crazy and shop around. Jessie, you seem like you're more the crafty type. Here's a little thing for you to start making your own candles. You can have a candle party, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
That's
Oh
a
my
good
God, I
point.
love that. That's the perfect example. I'll have a candle party. Damaris can just buy 500 candles.
I'll do both.
Yeah.
That's a really good point, because it all goes back to sort of learning from your audience and getting to know your audience and really catering it to them, right? And I think that's sometimes it's a bit difficult when you're a business owner to get yourself unstuck from the salesy part and trying to get revenue for your business and oh my God and this and that. Sometimes you just have to take a step back and say, what's best for my customers? This way they can just come back to me organically. It will benefit you in the long run. So just have faith.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I want to say, I guess, Jessie, this is an answer to your question previously of how can you sort of trick people into giving up answers that instead of asking directly, like, how old are you? One way what we talked about in coaching of doing that is giving references to a certain period of time. So like, what's your favorite TV show? And the TV shows are from different eras. So based on what they're picking, that you kind of have an idea of like, okay, this person is older because they're into this show. These people are younger because they're into Disney shows. I don't know, whatever, right? And so I think you can do the same thing again. So that's a sort of secondary answer to that question. But to that same point, you can use that to do the market research. So instead of just assuming, hey, I'm a candle business, I'm selling these candles, and assuming, hey, maybe people, that's a great idea. Maybe people do want to do this DIY version and I should create a candle making course, right? Before you even make the course, just put a question in there of like, what are you doing on Friday night? Shopping, crafting, partying with friends, right? You're not asking me if I would love to make my own candles, but I now know as your quiz maker, right? You're really into hanging out and socializing with friends. Maybe that would be a good opportunity for you to make candles, and I can follow up with you after in the emails of, I know that you love to have gatherings. How about a candle party? Or, hey, I know that you love to be shopping. So how about this coupon code to help you out with your purchases? So those are sort of like sneaky ways that you can get information, do this market research without being so direct and not engaging of just like, how old are you? Do you like to buy candles? Do you want to make candles? It's a little more fun to do them that way.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And off the top of my head, I feel like I've taken so many quizzes that there's so many of you out there that really do a good job with this. Like, and it blows my mind from all the quizzes I've seen. I've opted into so many. I have so many interests apparently that there's times where I take these quizzes where I'm just taking them to give them feedback, but someone had an interior design quiz and I'm like, perfect. Like I'm looking for furniture and stuff and I'm like, I'm opting in and I'm still on their email list to this day. I'm still learning stuff. So I think all these quizzes are they do a good job of kind of even opening our eyes to all these different things that we didn't even know we cared about.
It's so true. I've got a bunch of times too. I love the quizzes and I'm like, yes, I want to know more about that. Send it to me. Send me the details.
what was that one that we got through an AI request? Something about building your own chicken coop or growing your own chickens or something
Yes.
in the background. And I was like, I'm not there yet, but down the line, I would
I
love
want to
to
know.
be there. Like that is my dream state. So I'm opting in for sure. I love that.
Mhm.
Well, the last question that we had to cover, but I feel like we kind of talked about it. How does a quiz effectively make sales? I feel like we just kind of covered it with the candle topic. Damaris is your
I think
person.
so. Yeah, no, exactly. And I mean, I don't want to sound too in debt, and I'm not a medical professional by any chance, but it just comes back to like just human psychology, just try to sell them something that they like in a way that doesn't sound salesy, right? It's a very simple thing to say, but I know it's more difficult, right? Because you have to have strategy, you have to understand your audience and all of these things. I mean, for me, Bath and Body Works does a great job because I probably buy so much candles there. It's insane how much money they take from me. But once again, it's an idea that I already inherently like, and they have a really good customer because they have the product that I like and I keep buying it.
Yeah, it's Maris. I think I totally agree. Easier said than done, right? But for you guys trying to make a quiz, the easiest way to sell without trying to sell is just talk to yourself like you were talking to a customer, and you're probably going to come out with a great quiz, or at least a great foundation of a quiz. So I always like, I mean, we can use the candle example. I always like to give the coffee shop example too. Damaris probably first. I mean, definitely before she ever took any Bath and Body Works quiz. I don't think they have one. So Bath and Body Works, if you're listening, come hit us up. We'll make you a candle quiz. Maybe even some DIY candle courses for you. But now I lost my train of thought. I got too excited. What was I saying?
The coffee shop.
Yeah. So Damaris walked into Bath and Body Works, right? And someone was there to greet her with the basket so she could fill it up and buy a whole bunch of stuff. But they asked her questions like, what are you here shopping for? Candles? Okay, they're over here. What sort of scents do you like? Where are you putting these candles? How often do you use a candle? That judges the size that you might need, right? So like that is a very organic, fun, engaging conversation that you would have when you walk into Bath and Body Works or any candle store or coffee shop, or I mean, anytime you're talking to your customer, right? So just imagine you having a conversation with them, and then that essentially becomes your quiz so that you can learn about your people and then give them what they want. Again, remembering that the quiz is a resource for the person taking it as much as it is a resource for you. Create it knowing that it is 100% for the people taking it so that you can give them the best value based on what they're telling you in that quiz.
Yeah. The more you make it about your customers, the more you make it for them, the better it's going to be for you.
Yeah.
I do just want to, sorry.
Well, I was just gonna say people buy from people who they know, like, and trust. So build up the know, like, and trust before you try to sell them something. Because if you're selling something too soon, and play around, you're not going to get this right the first time, probably. But really focus on the know, like, and trust. Try to sell something, and if it doesn't work, it's probably because you haven't connected with that person enough, or they haven't realized you haven't gotten them over that belief bridge. You haven't gotten them to realize why they need your offering in the language that they need to hear.
What I was going to say is, even though we sound like quiz experts, because we've been doing this for quite some time, right? We take so many quizzes, we help people. We do not know your audience. We do not know your business. We do not know your offerings as well as you guys do. So just have the confidence to know you probably already know your quiz topic, your quiz title, your outcomes. You just have to step back and think about it and have the confidence to build from that, right? And 95% of the time, I think that you guys already know, right? You just have to, I don't know, write it down on paper, use a notepad, go to the builder, build it out. And I just want to
go to ai.tryinteract.com.
I just
let us know the offerings. We'll do it for you.
Yeah.
I just want to give you guys confidence that you know more than what you give yourself credit, for sure.
Yeah. And the confidence to know that you can make edits to your quiz. It is not signed, sealed, and delivered and locked up. Like things change, and then you just go in and hit edit, and that's it.
Exactly. Yeah. And that might sound daunting, but I honestly think that's my favorite part of giving quiz feedback. When I know, hey, you've reached out, you've put the quiz here and you've attracted these types of people, and this is what they've said in your quiz, or they've not started your quiz. I love looking at Interact Quiz Analytics and seeing where you're losing people in this funnel. And usually the analytics give you a really, really good idea of what you need to fix. Is it on the title? Is it getting them to click into start? Is it within the questions that you're losing them? Are they not taking action on the result page? And just making one little tweak at a time so you can see how that improves moving people through your funnel, getting them on your list, making these sales. You're going to build something really effective for your business. It's probably, again, not going to happen overnight, but that's, I think, one of the most exciting parts of building it. It's a journey.
Yeah, I agree. If it's not working right away when you launch it, now is the time that you go into testing mode. It's like kind of like a science experiment, a little bit at a time. See if your hypothesis is right. If it's not, then you're going to shift something else. But if you keep doing that, it's definitely going to work down the line.
Yeah,
definitely. Love it.
Well, anything else that you guys want to have to wrap up for our audience about what makes a good quiz?
I think I just would like to end with, and for anybody using AI, Interact AI, we do ask you a certain number. We ask you 3 little questions of extra information to give us after you submit that form. And the reason we're asking you for that is because that is you telling us what we need to know about your business to create the best quiz for you. So it's okay if you don't have these answers yet. Start with AI. We'll work with you to get the best idea that you have right now started, and then you can start testing that out. But really think about, so when we ask you, where do you want to send quiz takers after your quiz? A lot of times we'll get back to sales pages, a part of my website, my offerings, but you're not telling us what those offerings are or what those sales pages are. Give us that, because then we are literally able to plug that into AI and work backwards to say, okay, what is an engaging idea that relates to these offerings that will get people excited, want to take the quiz, and then the quiz very naturally points them towards that offering that you want to send them to. That's probably also the most direct way to start selling. So in that short funnel that you make with an AI quiz to start, you'll see, do I need to build out a bigger nurture sequence to get people ready to buy this thing? Are people buying this thing right away? And maybe I can put it right on the result page. It doesn't even need an email sequence, right? That's what I want to say to you guys. Take like 2 extra minutes to actually link the sales pages or the offerings, or tell us the archetypes that you work with in your business that you want to assign to people, so that we can use that language, your language, and build you a quiz that really matches what it is that you want to tell people. And it will be so much easier for you to start updating that over time with these little one-off changes as you learn more about how it works with your audience.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. The more information you give us, the better the quiz turns out.
Perfect.
But I'll also say, because I also get a whole bunch of people that will say, I used AI and I wrote the results and the quiz questions. So you're doing all of the work. If you're doing that, I mean, that's great. We can build it for you. Absolutely. But also know that you don't have to put that much work in. Really, what we're looking for is like, where do you want to send people after the quiz? What is your business all about? What are people asking you all the time? We can create the quiz and all of the questions and the answer choices based off of that. So we get all kinds of responses, but that's what I would say. The biggest piece that we need from you is where you're wanting to point, the specific pages or offerings that you're wanting to point people to afterwards. But don't feel like you don't also have to write out all of the quiz questions, because I get that a lot too.
Yeah, I love that. And for all our listeners, whether you are a customer and you have a quiz or not, I highly recommend you go to ai.tryinteract.com and give us some information. Let's see what type of quiz we can build for you. It's really cool to see. We have a lot of people that are existing customers that come in and are just curious to check it out. And I actually love it too, to see, you know, how does it relate or how does it compare to an existing quiz they have? So I encourage you to try it out. And I think that pretty much wraps up this week's episode. We will be back next week, and we want to thank everyone for joining us and tuning in. And as always, if you have any topics that you want us to cover, let us know. All right.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. See you next week.